We tend to speak in resumes. We tend to think in resumes. Things like achievements, titles, perhaps numbers. And I'm not talking about the resume you put forward when you're applying for a job. Although it's the content, what that resume references, is something that we often interiorize in our mind and then apply to our conversations with each other. So think about how many people, and perhaps you're one of the people, I could be one of the people, how many people name drop? Or think better of yourself than someone else. Because when we're presenting a resume, we want that to catch the attention of the person that we are trying to get the job from. So we're presenting the best side of ourselves. We may even twist the truth a bit, stretch it a bit, except the facts, because the facts they can always check. But yes, I'm a great team person. Okay, I guess we'll see that when it's, in reality type of thing. So we can stretch certain things. But when we do that, tend to do that with each other. In our minds, I'm better than you. Or you put you down. For whatever reason. Envy, jealousy. I hear it many times in the confession. So this is not semantics. It's not just words. I'm not making this up. A lot of people struggle with this. Even the students, I hear it from students, I think I'm better than my friends. Think of how people, perhaps even you and me, as I said, name drop and do these kinds of things in our discussions. But the gospel, the readings actually, because Sirach has something to say to us on this, and our Lord challenge us to not be focused on the resume part of our conversations. We can't ignore it. But not to give into it or reduce it to or have our conversations defined by this kind of resume approach. But rather, the eulogy virtues. The eulogy virtues. So it's not a matter of what we do, but who we are. This can be two very different things. You can do a job very well and be a total jerk, right? So it's not what we do, but Jesus is saying we need to focus on who we are. The eulogy virtues are those things that people will say about us when we're dead. But actually they're saying it now when we're alive. Right? They're already saying it about us. But it's going to be sort of encapsulated. They're not going to say, well, that guy was, okay, he ran a company or she ran a company or she was, great manager of her household. Those things may be said. But what's really going to be important is she was extraordinarily generous. He was a great people person. It's those kind of things. Eulogy virtues, resume virtues. He ran a company, she did this, and so on and so on. Oh, that pastor built so many things. So what? Really, so what? Is that what Jesus is going to say? 5 churches, no problema. You can come into heaven. No, that's not what's going to get me into heaven. So this is really, really important, and it strikes, as I said, or it brings out what the readings of the day highlight. Will you and I live for resume virtues or for eulogy virtues? The eulogy virtue is highlighted in today's reading, speaks to the virtue of humility. Humility is misunderstood. It's really a misunderstood virtue. It's not groveling. It's certainly not weakness. Jesus was meek and humble of heart. Nobody thought Jesus was weak. He was the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He faced down the Pharisees. His knees never knocked, in the face of all the authority marshaled against him. Jesus confronted demons and the devil. It was they who were shaking, not him. So meekness has nothing to do with that misunderstood garbage, and we need to exercise it from our mind. C.S. Lewis really nailed it when he said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Now hold that in mind as I go through this. It's not thinking less of yourself. God has made you. You are worth the price of the Son of God. So if you think some days you're nothing, you mean nothing, you have no value, look at the crib, the divine crib, or look at the cross. Our meaning, that's not the only place, but it's the key place for us. That's why God became visible. So we would always be able to look to him and understand what I'm worth. God so loved the world, he gave his only Son. For me, for you, each one of us. Individually, personally. So if we keep that definition in mind, you will understand the scriptures. It's not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. And here are the enemies of this virtue, the modern enemies. 3 of them, there's many. Screens, distraction, and noise. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I talked about one of the latest studies, average North American male, 10 hours on the screen, not male, adult, 10 hours a day on the screens. Now some of that is work, but of that 10 hours, 5.4 hours is the 3 B's. It's browsing, buying, and bills. Browsing, buying, and bills. Staggering when you think about it. Our attention is devoured by pixels. Obviously the people behind it, but still our attention is devoured by pixels. We think of ourselves as a result of this way too often. We get absorbed in the screens. It happens to me. It happens to everybody. Well, everybody who has a screen, you have to probably fight, unless you're really super unusual today. God bless you. Write a book, tell people how to do it. You'll make a lot of money. Seriously, we are absorbed by pixels. Notifications drag us inward. Oh, a notification from X. Who cares? Oh, it's a notification from Instagram. Oh, I don't have to go for a run. There's my endorphin shot. All these things draw us inwards. We scroll. We compare. Instagram's own internal studies, their own internal studies show, this is only about 5 years ago, it's probably a lot worse by now, how teenage girls, their awareness of themselves is diminished severely to the point of discouragement and depression by the garbage they see on Instagram, comparing themselves to other young girls. Guys is a different problem. You all know what it is, guys. I won't have to mention it. That's for another day. But the damage it does to young girls who have inestimable worth. And you don't have to be beautiful to have worth. That's a bunch of worldly nonsense. Your worth comes from the fact that you're a child of God and you're worth the price of the Son of God's blood. They don't care. They haven't changed anything. They haven't tweaked or improved it. They want to suck your daughters even further into their algorithms. Humility, when properly understood, remember, it's not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. Humility, when properly understood, is the answer. Because humility looks outward, not inward. Like the pixels are like a screen, like a mirror. And it looks upward. Humility looks upward. Outward and upward. The book of Sirach starts with this in today's first reading. Conduct your affairs with humility, and you will be loved more than the giver of gifts. Now, listen to that. Why is he saying this? Conduct your affairs with humility, and you will be loved more than the giver of gifts. Frankly, if somebody gave me a Lexus, I couldn't fit into it, but that would be a nice thing. I'd have to give it away. It'd be a scandal if I drove around in a Lexus. But you know, if you think about it, we would probably be more inclined to gravitate to the gift, to the material thing. It's not what Sirach says, it's not what the Holy Spirit says through Sirach. But why is he saying this? Gifts fade. And at the moment, the endorphin rush, you know, the oxytocin, all that stuff is, you know, just rushing through our system. Oh, this is amazing, you know, it's so wonderful. But this stuff all fades. Rich people, many of them are not happy. Wealth, I remember John Kerry, you know, the comedian. He says, I wish everybody could become a millionaire so they could realize how little value money is. Like when you get there, you realize, if I can't find something meaningful other than money that I have, not a nice life. Not a nice life. Jim Carrey, sorry, not John. But attention endures. Gifts fade, but attention endures. Real life example, not from this parish, all right? Not from this parish. Real life example of a newly married couple, several months into their wedding, so no children yet. And he's a programmer, so he works at home. He's on his screens all day. That's what he has to do for a living. She comes home from work, and she's telling him about her day, and she's in the kitchen, and he's in probably the living room. It's kind of semi-office. And she's going on about her day, and he's doing the guy, yeah. And of course, women, they know, he's not paying attention to me. He's going, yeah, okay, so she's finished, and he gets up and goes into the kitchen. Silence. Now, he's not so dumb that he doesn't realize something is afoot. So they get into, long story short, their first argument. And they get some guidance. And as a result of the guidance, they make the deal that when she comes home, because he's working at home, but he stops and they have 15 minutes of eyeball time every day. 15 minutes of eyeball time every day. Now, isn't that a revolution to the Gentiles? You know, 15 minutes of eyeball time when you come home. But we are so absorbed by pixels. This actually is, you have to go to counseling now to hear that. Or, you know, a really wise friend who will, if you're disposed, will tell you the truth. So we have to rediscover these things. It's like reinventing the wheel. Face-to-face eyeball time. No screens, no noise, just presence. And they discovered the secret that attention is love. Because essentially love, according to Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle, the great philosophers, love is to will the good for another as the other. Not to love you so I can get something from you. Everybody detects that eventually. You just want something from me. But to will the good for the other as the other. I want focusing on you, not me. Again, go back to thinking of myself less, to build you up, to tell you how important you are to me. And attention, being a form of love, is the way to do that. Because in effect, I'm saying you're important to me. So the machines not only go down, but go away for a while. Christ sharpens the point when he says in the gospel, when you are invited, take the lowest seat. Not to flatter, not to pretend, but to honor those who cannot repay. That is, to be humble is to stop asking, what can I get out of this? And to start asking, what can I give? And seek nothing in return. It takes a lot of intentionality to do this, because we're always looking for the exchange, right? I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I suspect that, you know, we all struggle with this. What can I get out of this? You know, what's going to benefit me? Again, humility is thinking of yourself less, so you can give others the gift of your attention. Takeaways this week. First, for the adults. Resolve to resist and be intentional, even self-talk. I'm going to do this, I'm going to resist this, or I'm going to actually talk to my spouse or my friend, whatever the case may be. Resolve to resist the screens. Begin with the eulogy virtue. How can I think of those around me? How can I think of them for their good without seeking anything in return? Perhaps when you come home from work, now if you have kids, it may be the kids are first, but at least you make time for each other, and then you maybe put it on the shelf or in the parking lot until the kids are down. But then eyeball time. You're important to me. You have my attention. In this age of distraction, you have my attention. Look at your children when they talk to you, and make them look at you. The babysitter now has become this thing we hold in our hand. It's not a baby, it's a machine. We need to focus, be attentive. I hear this once in a while from the school, how the kids are just dying inside for their parents' attention. And it's not to paintbrush all the parents, by no means. But it is a phenomenon that if we're not careful, we can be swept up in. It applies to me in a different way, not just to dismiss somebody because I'm tired or whatever. It takes intentionality, it takes effort, because you are important. This really is humility in practice. So that's for the adults, to really try and be intentional about that. For the students, when you are with your friends, if you have a device, put it away. Really try to listen and pay attention. When you're on the screens and you're called by your parents, go the first time, not the second time or the fifth time or the 10th time. Again, when as children confess this, I didn't listen to my mom. Did you hear her for the first time? Yeah. So it's a struggle with the kids because they're on the machines, or perhaps they're playing with something. Could be something other than machines. All of this stuff helps us to become or make us the person everyone wants to be with. And that's why Sirach says what he does. That's why Jesus directs us in the way that he does. Let us all really strive for the eulogy virtues.